I raised her for 22 years. Paid for everything: college, car, apartment, even her wedding venue. Then she looked me in the eye and said her wedding was yesterday, just for special people. A week later, she called screaming about unpaid rent. I replied, "Didn't I tell you? My name is Lloyd Bannister. I'm 55 years old, and I've spent the last 22 years being a father to a girl who wasn't mine by blood, but was mine in every way that mattered." Or so I thought. I own a chain of laundromats and dry cleaners, for locations spread across the metro area. Nothing fancy, but honest work that provided a good life. Good enough to raise Tessa, put her through college, help her get started in the world. The moment it all changed happened on a Tuesday morning. I'd stopped by her apartment to drop off some things she'd left at my place during her last visit. Wedding planning materials. Actually, seating charts, vendor contracts, fabric samples. She'd been using my dining room table as her command center for months. I knocked. Tessa opened the door, phone in hand, still in her pajamas, even though it was nearly 11. Behind her, I could see moving boxes. That struck me as odd. She hadn't mentioned moving. "Hey, Dad," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. "Thanks for bringing that stuff." I handed her the box. "No problem, sweetheart. Hey, I was looking at my calendar this morning and realized you never told me the final date for the wedding. I want to make sure I don't schedule anything that weekend." She glanced at her phone, then back at me. Something flickered across her face. Not guilt exactly. More like inconvenience. "Oh," she said, her voice too casual. "That was yesterday. Just for special people." I stood there, still holding the empty space where the box had been, my arms frozen in place. The words didn't make sense at first. My brain tried to rearrange them into something that hurt less. "Yesterday," I repeated slowly. Tessa nodded, already turning back toward her apartment. "Yeah, we kept it really small. City Hall, then a dinner. You know how it is." I didn't know how it was. I didn't know anything anymore. "Special people," I said, testing the words in my mouth like broken glass. She shrugged, one shoulder lifting dismissively. "It was Wesley's family mostly, and Mom. We didn't want it to be a whole thing." Mom. She meant Francine, the woman who abandoned her when she was 6. The woman who missed every birthday, every recital, every parent-teacher conference for 15 years. That mom got an invitation. I did not. I wanted to rage. I wanted to demand an explanation. I wanted to ask her how she could do this, how she could erase me so completely. But something in her posture, the way she was already half turned away, the impatience in her stance, told me she'd already made her choice. Anything I said would just be noise to her. So instead, I did something I'd never done before. I said nothing. "I see." I finally managed, my voice flat. Tessa glanced at me, maybe hearing something in those 2 words that gave her pause. But then her phone buzzed, and whatever moment we might have had evaporated. "I've got to take this," she said, already stepping back. "Thanks again for bringing the stuff, Dad." The door closed. Not slammed. Just closed. Like I was a delivery driver who'd completed his task. I walked back to my truck, got in, and sat there for a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't punch the steering wheel. I just stared at the dashboard and felt something fundamental shift inside me. 22 years of being a father, and I hadn't even known my daughter got married. That evening, I sat at my desk at home and opened my laptop. I pulled up the folder where I kept all of Tessa's financial records. Rent payments, tuition installments, insurance premiums, car payments, the wedding venue deposit I'd paid last month, $3,000 for a wedding I wasn't invited to attend. I stared at the numbers for a long time. Then I opened a new document and titled it Account Closure Plan. If I wasn't special enough to witness her wedding, then maybe I wasn't special enough to keep funding her life. It was time to find out what special really meant to Tessa, and time for her to learn what it felt like to stand on her own 2 feet. The next morning, I didn't call Tessa, didn't text. For the first time in 22 years, I let silence fill the space between us. She didn't notice. Or maybe she did and just didn't care. Either way, my phone stayed quiet. I went to work like normal. Checked on my 4 laundromat locations, reviewed the books, handled vendor calls. But between tasks, I kept pulling up that spreadsheet. The numbers were staggering when you saw them all together. Rent on her downtown apartment, $1,400 a month. I've been paying it for 3 years. Her car payment, $350 monthly. Title in my name. Insurance too. Health insurance through my business plan. $200 a month. Student loans. I paid off the entire balance last year. $32,000. Thought I was helping her start life debt-free. Then there were the smaller things. Phone bill. Streaming services. That premium design software subscription she needed for work. $50 a month. Her gym membership. Even her damn grocery delivery service. I'd set everything to auto-pay years ago. Back when it felt good to support her. Back when I thought I was building something. A relationship. A bond. Turns out I was just funding someone's life while they built their future around people who mattered more. My business partner, Kenneth, noticed I was distracted. We were in the back office of the main location, going over quarterly projections. "You all right, Lloyd?" Kenneth asked, setting down his coffee. "You've been staring at that screen for 10 minutes. I looked up. Kenneth was a good man, been working with me for 15 years. Knew about Tessa, had watched her grow up. "Tessa got married," I said flatly. His face lit up. "Hey, congratulations. When's the reception?" "I'll make sure to." "Yesterday. Or the day before." "I wasn't there. Wasn't invited." Kenneth smile-eyed. "What?" "She told me it was just for special people." He stared at me, processing. "Lloyd, you raised that girl. You're the only father she's ever known. Apparently not special enough." I turned the laptop toward him. "I've been paying for everything in her life. Everything. And I just found out she values me somewhere below a mother who abandoned her 20 years ago." Kenneth looked at the spreadsheet, his jaw tightening. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to stop." I pulled the laptop back. "All of it. Today." "Today." He raised his eyebrows. That's a big move, Lloyd." "She made her move first," I said calmly. "I'm just responding to the reality she's created. If I'm not family enough for her wedding, I'm not family enough to subsidize her lifestyle." Kenneth nodded slowly. "Can't say I blame you. But be ready. When the money stops, she'll notice real quick." "I'm counting on it," I said. That afternoon, I started the process. First, I called my insurance broker and removed Tessa from my business health plan. Effective immediately. Then I logged into my bank and canceled the automatic rent payment scheduled for next week. Stopped the car payment authorization. Pulled her off the phone plan. One by one, I severed every financial thread that connected us. My finger hovered over the final button, the one that would close her access to the joint credit card I'd given her for emergencies. She had maybe $1,500 charged on it right now. I clicked it. Done. I sat back, feeling nothing. No satisfaction, no anger. Just a cold, mechanical certainty that I was doing the right thing. Tessa wanted to define who was special. Fine. Now she'd learn what happened when you weren't. Sunday morning, 1 week after the wedding I wasn't invited to attend, Tessa and Wesley threw a celebration brunch. I knew about it because Wesley's aunt, Pearl Hooper, accidentally tagged me in a photo on Facebook before quickly untagging it. But the damage was done. I'd seen enough. The restaurant was called Harvest Moon, one of those trendy farm-to-table places downtown with exposed brick and overpriced mimosas. In the photo, Tessa sat at the head of a long table, Wesley beside her, both of them glowing. Around them, maybe 20 people. Wesley's family. Some friends I didn't recognize. And there, 3 seats down, Francine. My ex-wife looked different. Hair styled, nails done, wearing what looked like an expensive dress. Playing the role of mother of the bride. The mother who'd walked out when Tessa was 6 because motherhood wasn't her calling. Those were her exact words in the divorce papers. I zoomed in on another photo someone had posted. Wesley was standing, glass raised, mid-toast. The caption read, "To family who always believed in us." Always believed. I believed in Tessa when she wanted to quit college sophomore year. Believed in her when she switched majors 3 times. Believed in her when she took that low-paying marketing job instead of the corporate position I'd helped her get an interview for. And Francine, she'd sent a birthday card. Maybe. Once every few years. But she got invited to the brunch. She got to sit at that table, bask in the celebration, pretend she'd been there all along. I set my phone down and walked to my home office. Pulled out the metal lockbox from the closet where I kept important documents. Inside were 22 years of memories. Report cards. Recital programs. The adoption papers. Photos of Tessa at every age, usually with me. Teaching her to ride a bike, at her high school graduation, moving into her first apartment. There was one photo near the bottom. Tessa at 8, gap-toothed smile, holding a construction paper card she'd made. Best dad in the world, written in crayon with hearts all around it. I stared at it for a long time. Then I put everything back in the box and closed it, filed it away like evidence in a case that was already decided. My phone buzzed. A text from Kenneth. Saw the brunch photos. You holding up okay? I typed back, fine, just finalizing some things. What I was finalizing was the last piece. The one I'd been holding back on, giving Tessa a small window to reach out, to apologize, to acknowledge what she'd done. She hadn't. I opened my laptop and navigated to the property management portal for Tessa's apartment building. I'd co-signed her lease 2 years ago when she didn't have enough credit history. Technically, I was on the hook for her rent. I drafted an email to the landlord, informing him I was withdrawing as co-signer effective immediately. Legal clean done. They'd either need Wesley to replace me, or Tessa would need to find a new place. Then I opened the file for the commercial properties I rented for my laundromats. 3 of them came through Wesley's firm, Hooper Real Estate Group. Wesley himself had handled 2 of the transactions. I called the primary agent I worked with there, a woman named Linda. Lloyd, good to hear from you. What can I do for you? Linda, I'm considering consolidating my properties. Might be moving some locations. Wanted to ask, how much notice do I need to give if I don't renew the leases? Oh, she paused. Well, you've got 90 days on 2 of them. The third one is month to month. Thinking of relocating. Just exploring options, I said. Thanks, Linda. I wasn't relocating, but Wesley didn't know that. And when those leases came up for renewal in 3 months, I'd make my decision based on how Tessa handled the next few weeks. Family who always believed in us. Fine. Let's see how much they believed when the foundation started shifting. It took 5 days for Tessa to notice. 5 days of silence before my phone finally rang with her name on the screen. I was at the main laundromat, restocking change machines, when it buzzed in my pocket. I glanced at it, let it ring twice more, then answered. Lloyd Bannister. Dad. Tessa's voice sounded stressed. Hey, I've been trying to reach you. Have you? I kept feeding quarters into the machine. I haven't seen any missed calls. Well, I texted. A few times. I hadn't responded to the texts. One had been a meme about marriage. Another asked if I could recommend a good dry cleaner for Wesley's suits. As if nothing had happened. What can I do for you, Tessa? I asked, my tone professional. Distant. Okay. So, something weird is happening. My rent payment bounced. The landlord sent me this really aggressive email about late fees, and I checked my account, and the money just isn't there. Did something happen with the transfer? No transfer happened, I said calmly. I stopped making them. Silence on the other end. Then, what do you mean you stopped? I mean exactly that. I'm no longer paying your rent. But why? Dad, I don't understand. Did I do something? The question was so absurd, I almost laughed. Did she do something? Like excluding me from her wedding was just a minor oversight. Tessa, I said, keeping my voice level, you got married a week and a half ago. You didn't tell me. You didn't invite me. You said it was just for special people. I thought a lot about that phrase. And I've decided that if I'm not special enough to be part of your life's important moments, then I'm not special enough to fund them either. Oh my God. Her voice shifted, defensive now. Are you serious? You're punishing me because of the wedding. I'm not punishing you. I'm adjusting my financial commitments to reflect the relationship we actually have, not the one I thought we had. This is insane. She was getting louder now. You're being petty. Petty, I repeated. Interesting word choice. Tell me, Tessa, how much is your rent? $1,400. You know that. And your car payment? $350, but health insurance. She hesitated. I don't know. $200 maybe. You don't know, I said quietly, because you've never had to think about it. I've handled everything for so long. You don't even know what your own life costs. That's going to change. Dad, please. Her voice broke a little, shifting tactics. Wesley and I are stretched thin right now. The wedding cost more than we planned, and he's waiting on a big commission that won't come through for another month. We can't afford rent and everything else right now. That's unfortunate. You'll need to figure it out. Can you just cover it this once? I'll pay you back. That phrase, I'll pay you back. She'd said it 100 times over the years. Never followed through once. No, Tessa, I can't. Can't or won't. Both. I closed the change machine and locked it. You made your choice about whose family. Now I'm making mine. This is unbelievable. You're really going to do this? Over a wedding. This isn't about a wedding, I said, my voice harder now. This is about 22 years of being your father and finding out it didn't mean anything. You erased me. Tessa, you don't get to be surprised when I stop showing up. I heard her breath catch. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she said, voice cold, fine. We'll figure it out ourselves. We don't need you. Good, I said. Then this shouldn't be a problem. I hung up before she could respond. 10 days after I stopped the payments, Tessa called again. This time I was having dinner at my favorite diner, the kind of place with vinyl booths and coffee that never stops coming. I saw her name on the screen and almost let it go to voicemail. But curiosity won. Hello, Tessa. I said her name, not sweetheart, not honey, just her name. Dad. Her voice was tight, strained. The rent and the tuition payment are both overdue now. Did you forget to transfer them? There it was. The exact phrasing from my preview text. I've been waiting for this moment. Didn't I tell you? I said calmly, taking a sip of coffee. Silence. Then, tell me what? That I was stepping back. We had this conversation already. Tessa, I'm no longer covering your expenses. But that was... I thought you were just upset. I thought you'd cool down and... Cool down. I set my cup down carefully. This isn't anger, Tessa. This is clarity. You made it very clear where I stand in your life. I'm responding accordingly. Dad, please. Her voice shifted to something between panic and anger. The landlord is threatening eviction. The university put a hold on my account. I can't even register for next semester's classes. Wesley's commission still hasn't come through. We're drowning here. That sounds difficult, I said evenly. What are you going to do about it? What am I? She stopped, seemed to collect herself. Can you just help us this one time? We'll figure something out going forward. But right now we need... No. What? No, Tessa. I can't help you. Can or won't, she snapped. Both. You have a husband now. You have your mother. You have all those special people who were important enough to witness your wedding. Maybe one of them can help. I heard her breathing, sharp and fast. This is insane. You're willing to let me lose my apartment? Get kicked out of school? Over a wedding? I'm not doing anything to you, I said, my voice hardening. The consequences you're facing are the natural result of your own choices. You chose to exclude me. You chose to pretend I didn't matter. Now you're choosing to face life without my financial support. Those are your choices, not mine. I can't believe you're being this cold. And I couldn't believe you got married without telling me. I guess we're both learning new things about each other. She was quiet for a moment. Then, voice low and bitter, Mom was right about you. She said you'd hold money over my head eventually. That you'd use it to control me. That landed like a punch. Francine had been poisoning the well, even now. Your mother, I said slowly, hasn't contributed a single dollar to your life in 18 years. She has no idea what I've done for you or why. And if you believe her version of events over 2 decades of me actually being there, then we have nothing left to discuss. Fine, Tessa said, voice breaking. Fine. We'll figure it out without you. Don't worry about it. I won't, I said. Then I hung up. I sat there in the diner booth, my coffee going cold, and felt something shift inside me. Not regret, not satisfaction, just a quiet sense of finality. The bridge was burning now, flames licking at the support beams. And I was the one who'd struck the match. Pearl Hooper was not the type of woman who missed details. At 63, she'd spent 4 decades as a paralegal, and observation was her superpower. So when she attended her nephew Wesley's wedding brunch and noticed the careful omissions, the redirected questions, the way Tessa's biological mother preened while telling stories about my daughter's childhood, Pearl's instincts activated. Something was off. That evening, she did what any good paralegal would do. She investigated. Started with social media. Tessa's Facebook was a goldmine of history. Much of it still public, because people always forgot to lock down their digital past. She found an album titled My Hero from 6 years ago. Photos of Tessa with a man Pearl had never seen at the brunch. A man she'd never heard mentioned. Lloyd Bannister. There he was at Tessa's high school graduation, beaming with pride. Moving her into college. Teaching her to drive. Dozens of photos spanning years. Always there. Always present. Pearl kept scrolling. Found a post from 3 years ago. Couldn't have made it through college without Dad's support. Forever grateful for everything he's done. Dad, not Lloyd. Dad. Pearl opened a new tab and searched Lloyd's name. Found his business, Bannister Laundry Services. For locations. Solid reputation. Then she found something else. A receipt posted in a community group, thanking Lloyd for his generous donation to a scholarship fund. $15,000, given in Tessa's name. She sat back in her chair, pieces clicking into place. This man had raised Tessa, paid for her education, supported her for years. And he hadn't been at the wedding, hadn't been at the brunch, hadn't been mentioned once. Pearl picked up her phone and called her brother, Wesley's father. Gerald, Pearl said when he answered. This is your sister. I need to ask you something about Wesley's wedding. Who exactly paid for it? Gerald paused. Well, Wesley and Tessa covered most of it. I think Tessa's mother helped with some costs. What? Did Lloyd Bannister contribute anything? Lloyd who? Exactly, Pearl said grimly. Gerald, I've just spent an hour going through Tessa's social media. Lloyd Bannister raised that girl. He's her adoptive father. Paid for her college, her car, her life. And he wasn't invited to the wedding. That can't be right. Wesley said Tessa's father wasn't in the picture. He said wrong. Or Tessa lied to him. Either way, there's a man who gave 2 decades of his life to that girl, and she erased him completely. Wesley needs to know what kind of person he married. Gerald was quiet for a moment. You're sure about this? I'm looking at the evidence right now. Photos, posts, thank you messages. It's all here, Gerald. That girl cut out the man who raised her and replaced him with a woman who abandoned her as a child. And nobody at that brunch had any idea. What do you want me to do? Tell Wesley the truth, Pearl said firmly, before he gets in any deeper. Because if Tessa can do this to the man who raised her, what's she capable of doing to your son? Wesley Hooper sat across from his father and Aunt Pearl in his parents' living room, a manila folder open on the coffee table between them. Inside were printouts, screenshots, photos, posts spanning years, all featuring Lloyd Bannister and Tessa. This doesn't make sense, Wesley said, flipping through another page. Tessa told me her father left when she was young, that her mom raised her mostly alone. Pearl leaned forward, her voice firm. Wesley, your wife lied to you. Lloyd Bannister adopted Tessa when she was 2 years old. He raised her, paid for everything, her education, her car, her apartment. He even paid the deposit for your wedding venue. $3,000. Wesley's face went pale. The venue deposit? But Tessa said her mother covered that. Francine hasn't contributed a dime to Tessa's life in nearly 20 years, Pearl said, pulling out another printout. Look at this. A post from Tessa 3 years ago thanking Lloyd for paying off her student loans. $32,000. Wesley. That's who you excluded from your wedding. Wesley stood up abruptly, pacing. She said it was just going to be intimate. City Hall. Just immediate family. And Lloyd wasn't immediate family. Pearl's voice was sharp. The man who raised her wasn't immediate family, but a woman who abandoned her as a child was. Gerald, Wesley's father, spoke up quietly. Son, you need to understand what this means. If Tessa can rewrite history this completely, if she can erase the person who gave her everything, what else is she capable of lying about? Wesley stopped pacing, running his hands through his hair. I need to talk to her. Before you do, Pearl said, standing and gathering the papers, you should know something else. Lloyd owns multiple properties through his business. 3 of them are locations you're currently managing at your firm. Your biggest accounts, Wesley. And from what I understand, those leases are up for renewal soon. Wesley's stomach dropped. You're saying you might pull them? I'm saying, Pearl said carefully, that the man you and your wife excluded from the most important day of her life also happens to have significant influence over your career. And right now, he has every reason to take his business elsewhere. Wesley sat back down heavily. His wedding, his marriage, his career, all of it suddenly felt like it was built on sand. What do I do? He asked quietly. Pearl placed a hand on his shoulder. You figure out who you actually married, Wesley, and then you decide if that's someone you want to build a life with. That evening, Wesley came home to find Tessa at the kitchen table, laptop open, clearly stressed. Bills were spread out around her. Rent notices, university statements, credit card balances. We need to talk, Wesley said, his voice flat. Tessa looked up. Not now, Wesley. I'm trying to figure out how we're going to pay rent. Dad still hasn't transferred. Don't call him that. Wesley interrupted. Tessa blinked. What? Lloyd. Don't call him Dad. Not after what you did to him. Her face shifted, defensive. What are you talking about? Wesley pulled out his phone and opened the photos Pearl had sent him. He held it up, showing a picture of young Tessa with Lloyd at her high school graduation. Who is this, Tessa? She glanced at the photo, then away. That's Lloyd. I told you about him. No, you didn't. You told me your father wasn't in the picture. You told me your mother raised you. But Lloyd Bannister adopted you when you were 2. He paid for your college. All of it. He paid for your car, your apartment, your life. He paid $3,000 for our wedding venue. A wedding he wasn't invited to. Tessa stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. Who told you all this? Does it matter? It's true, isn't it? She crossed her arms. It's complicated. It's not complicated. Wesley's voice rose. You lied to me. You told me you were independent, that you'd worked your way through college. But the whole time, there was a man funding everything, and you erased him from your life story. From our wedding. I didn't erase him. He and I we grew apart. Tessa, there are photos of you from 2 years ago calling him the best dad in the world. That's not growing apart. That's deliberate. She turned away, staring out the kitchen window. You don't understand. My mom, my real mom, she wanted to be part of my wedding. It was important to her. And Lloyd, he was always so controlling with money, always making me feel like I owed him. He was controlling. Wesley's laugh was bitter. Tessa, he paid for everything and apparently never asked for anything back. That's not controlling. That's being a father. And you cut him out like he was nothing. Tessa whirled around, tears starting now. So what? You're on his side now. I'm trying to figure out who I married, Wesley said quietly. Because the woman I thought I knew wouldn't be capable of doing what you did to Lloyd. And I'm wondering what else you've lied to me about. I haven't lied. Stop. Wesley held up his hand. Just stop. I need some time to think. I'm going to stay at my parents' place tonight. Wesley, please. Do you have any idea what you've done? He asked, his voice breaking slightly. Lloyd isn't just some guy you can ignore. He's my company's biggest client. 3 properties. Tessa. 3 of our most valuable accounts. And you know what happens when those leases come up for renewal in 2 months? He's going to pull them. Because why would he do business with a company run by the man who married his ungrateful daughter? Tessa's face went white. He wouldn't. Why wouldn't he? You excluded him from your wedding. You told me he didn't matter. Well, congratulations. Now he gets to show you exactly how much he actually matters. Wesley grabbed his keys from the counter. I'll be back for more of my things tomorrow. Until then, figure out how you're going to pay rent without me. Because I'm done carrying someone who thinks loyalty is optional. The door closed behind him, and Tessa stood alone in the kitchen, surrounded by unpaid bills and the wreckage of the life she'd thought she was building. 3 weeks after Wesley left, Tessa received an envelope. No return address, but the law firm's name embossed in the corner told her everything she needed to know. Inside were 2 documents. The first was a notice of annulment proceedings. Wesley was seeking to dissolve their marriage on grounds of fraudulent misrepresentation. Specifically, concealing material information about her financial dependency and family relationships prior to marriage. The second document was worse. It was from Lloyd's attorney, a formal demand letter. The wedding guests who'd given gifts, 14 of them, had been contacted by Lloyd's legal team. They'd been informed of the full circumstances, that Lloyd had paid for Tessa's education, housing, and the wedding venue deposit, while being deliberately excluded from the ceremony. The letter detailed how several guests now felt their gifts were given under false pretenses. 7 of them were demanding their gifts returned. The letter listed each item with its estimated value. Total, for $1,200. Tessa's hand shook as she read. She didn't have $4,000. She barely had $400. Her phone rang. Her mother, Francine. Did you get a letter from some lawyer? Francine asked, voice tight. You got one too? Threatening me with defamation charges if I continue making false statements about Lloyd. Apparently, someone's been documenting everything I've said about him being controlling and manipulative. They're calling it slander. Tessa felt the walls closing in. What do we do? We? There's no we, Tessa. I'm not getting sued because you decided to burn bridges with your cash cow. Figure out yourself. The line went dead. Tessa sat in her empty apartment. Wesley had taken most of his things and stared at the legal papers. Her university enrollment was suspended. Her landlord had filed eviction papers. Her credit cards were maxed out, and now her own wedding guests wanted their gifts back. She pulled out her laptop and opened Facebook. Searched for Lloyd's name. His profile was private now, but his business page was still public. There, posted just yesterday, was a photo of him with a young woman in a graduation cap and gown. The caption read, "Proud to support another deserving student through the Bannister Scholarship Fund. Congratulations, Sarah, on your nursing degree." The comments were full of praise. People thanking Lloyd for his generosity, for supporting students who valued education and family. Tessa felt something break inside her. He'd moved on, found a new daughter to support, one who appreciated it. While she sat in an apartment she couldn't afford, surrounded by bills she couldn't pay, watching her life collapse, she opened a new message to Lloyd. Typed, "I'm sorry," and stared at it for 10 minutes. Then deleted it. What was the point? Sorry didn't pay rent. Sorry didn't erase what she'd done. She closed the laptop and sat in silence, finally understanding what she'd lost. I stood in the parking lot of my newest laundromat location, watching the contractors finish the exterior signage. This one was across town from where my other properties were, nowhere near Wesley's real estate firm's territory. I'd moved all my business to a different company 4 months ago. Hadn't heard from Wesley since. Kenneth walked up beside me, coffee in hand. "New place is looking good, Lloyd." "Thanks. Should be open by next month." "Heard anything from Tessa?" he asked carefully. I shook my head. "Not in months. Last I heard through the grapevine, she moved back in with Francine, working retail somewhere." "And Wesley?" Annulment went through. "He remarried last month. Actually, someone from his church. Pearl sent me a photo. He looks happy." Kenneth nodded. "Good for him. He deserved better than what Tessa put him through." My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah, the nursing student I've been mentoring through my scholarship fund. "Mr. Bannister, just got my first paycheck. Taking you to lunch to celebrate. No arguments." I smiled. Sarah reminded me of what I thought Tessa was: grateful, hardworking, genuine. Over the past 8 months, I got to know her and several other scholarship recipients. None of them were replacements for Tessa, but they gave me something I'd been missing: purpose without pain. "You did the right thing," Kenneth said, reading my expression. "Walking away when you did. Doesn't always feel right," I admitted, "but it was necessary." We walked back to the car. As I drove home, I passed the street where Tessa used to live. Kept driving. Didn't even glance down it. That evening, I opened my home office and looked at the lockbox I filed away months ago. The one with all of Tessa's photos and memories. I thought about throwing it away 100 times. Never could quite do it. Maybe someday I would. Or maybe I'd keep it as a reminder, not of what I lost, but of what I'd learned. That love without respect is just exploitation. That generosity without gratitude becomes entitlement. That being a father means knowing when to hold on and when to let go. I closed the box and put it back in the closet. Then I opened my email and confirmed my attendance at the Scholarship Fund dinner next month. 20 students this year. 20 kids who understood the value of what they were being given. Life moved forward. And so did I.